Mahalo. Aloha, my name is Deldrine Kauinohea Kapuni Manera. I am a lifetime resident of Molokai, born in Uwalupue. Actually born at Shingles Hospital, I kid you not. You too, at Ho'olegua. And what you call, dear part, and what you call in 1955. So I am so happy to be here today to introduce John Kikukawa and Philip Kikukawa. He didn't know that it was going to have a crowd of people. He thought it was just a cameraman in here. How vain. But anyways, no, I'm kidding. But what you call, I'm kidding. You know, you are, so am I. So anyways, we wanted to introduce the Kikukawa boys, who have been a large part of the history of Mid Nite Inn. Mid Nite Inn was the hotspot, the hubbub for politicians, for the big guys, for the small guys, the best Saimin, the best Pule play in the universe. So I'm going to introduce, I have to get you guys laced. I have a kuleana to do. So this is for Aline, and you have to take it to her, okay, John? So, John Kikukawa, you're the older one, so I need to respect you. Aloha. You don't have to stand up. And then Philip.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So I'm going to turn the kuleana over to John and Philip. Oh, to Michael, that's right, Michael, thank you, in the palaka. You're going to do the pulea. Okay.
Pulikako, oh my God, oh my God. Verily these servants are turning to thee, supplicating the kingdom of mercy. Verily, they are attracted by thy holiness and set aglow with the fire of thy love, seeking confirmation from thy wondrous kingdom and hoping for attainment in thy heavenly realm. Verily, they long for the descent of thy bestowal, desiring illumination from the sun of reality. O Lord, make them radiant lamps, merciful signs, fruitful trees, and shining stars. May they come forth in thy service and be connected with thee by the bonds and ties of thy love, longing for the lights of thy favor. O Lord, make them signs of guidance, standards of thine immortal kingdom, waves of the sea of thy mercy, and mirrors of the light of thy majesty. Verily, thou art the generous. Verily, thou art the merciful. Verily, thou art the precious, the beloved. Amen.
Amen. So now we're going to turn the kuleana over to John and Philip Kikukawa on Mid Nite Inn.
I don't know where to start. We were born into the restaurant business. Came from parents that were really different. Dad was a local boy and mom was a new Haole teacher on the island, which she scooped up pretty fast. And our life was of a small town. We lived about half a mile away from the restaurant down in Haole Camp, next to the Seaside Inn. And we were both born, the whole family was born at Shingles Hospital. And what's the doctor's name? Dr. Rapun.
Dr. Rapun.
Dr. Rapun probably delivered 3 generations of Molokaians. We would have the simple days of our youth.
Yes.
crabbing with the Kabardine boys,
Making tin pans.
making tin pan boats with the Gusas, because they had one wheelies Jeep, and we used to flatten out the totang and make tin pan boats. And
Playing in the mud. Where we lived at Howard Camp, the mud was up to our knees, or we were so it's at least a foot and a half, 2 feet deep. And when the tide was low, it was a mixture of all the limo that would accumulate because it got stuck from the wharf into the current. And from Molokai Electric, there was a pipe going under the highway, a canal going all the way to Passenger Always House, where all the diesel fuel, all the waste oil went into the water. And that's why it was black like that, right? I never realized that. I never thought about that. So you don't see that black mud, it was stink, so it's no down. By the time it would go down, people would come and stay at a house near the Hokajas. There was a house for rent. People would stay there for a week. Because we kind of liked it, yeah, after a while.
my auntie from the East Coast would go, "What's that smell?" And we go,
What smells?
"What smell?" Because it did pile up, because there was a berm, right? And in the front of our house, we had coconut trees. And so the berm, they used to the limo would pile that much high up. And we played in our neighborhood with a lot of business
People,
people.
Imamura,
Yeah.
and then Officer Hugh, Nathaniel Burroughs. Calvin Kings is in the old post office across from Taverns. That's where the original post office was. And the Calvin Kings used to live there.
Across Paddlers that's on the
This
east
side.
side
Yeah.
of the road. Oh.
Ever.
Oh.
I've been here now.
John, what year are we starting at? How old are you? So what year are we talking?
51
50s.
and 55. 51, 55.
People,
Go ahead.
people ask, they kind of trying to figure out Molokai, and that's what I tell them. Molokai is stuck in the 50s. And it's a beautiful place to get stuck. Because for whom the bell tolls, we know the people. So when somebody dies undecided, we feel it. So that's a community that is unusual. And it's hard nowadays to see people call this place their home, when in reality it's their retirement. People give in different ways. And when we were young, we were all equal. No matter what your parents' status was, what their income, everybody was equal. And if anybody had a hard time, there was the Hopaholis that had white and yellow in them. But we were accepted. We had great friends. We just played in the neighborhood. We played in the Kiawe forest. We used the broom like this to make trails. And the Fernandez family.
I used to inch through the cuckoos. Yeah, I used to like wear rubber slippers and push. And Raymond Fernandez, barefooted, he just run right through it. It's all my little matter. He used to go and all good. I swear, I used to blow my mind. So I played in Kiawe. And more about the beach over there. I'm glad we're talking because it's not about only Mid Nite Inn, but it's about Molokai growing up, what it was like. And we were like top of the iceberg for the generations, but there's so much more history before us, right? So we're just talking about the past 60 years, right? But I remember one time in the front of our beach, our house had and when it would rain, we had pots everywhere. You know how we had pots because it was leaking anywhere. It was a ranch house. But the volcano erupted out on the Big Island, and we had lava washed up to our shores. And we went up and picked the lava and sent some to my tutu and wave and stuff like that. But I never saw that yet. You remember that? And so it was nice to grow up by the beach. And along the wharf, on the left side never had a beach. It was all deeper water. They had boats moored. You can see the pilings the piers that they had for the boats. It was like deep water. And the wharf was half the size, I remember. But
That's the wooden, the
Yeah.
wooden one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I think half was concrete. I don't know. I know a lot of it.
Everybody would.
Yeah. But
And all the beach houses for the fishermen and that.
Any beach,
Yeah.
the Philippines.
They used to have
Yeah, a lot of shacks,
Shacks.
shacks.
Yeah.
metal posts. They sunk into the mud, and they would have the flat bottom,
The boat.
and they left everything on there. The motor, the everything. They're all possessions which would be stolen today.
Yeah, but not.
They kept it all there. They left it out there. To the to the wharf side, we had old man Joao. Joao, and he was a cowboy for the Molokai Ranch. He had the normal finger because of the the rope pulling and cutting it off. And we would have the sheriff come around and say, it was not tsunami during those days, it was tidal wave. Tidal wave, we didn't go tidal wave, leave. And my mom would always turn around and yell at Joe, come on, let's go. And he'd go, just stay, and the water would recede and the water would come back.
we used to go to the armory.
Yeah.
That was our evacuation point.
1946.
We were two. We were two.
This
We
was
were
six.
We're still,
Yeah, but it was a bunch of paddles. I remember evacuating.
Sixties.
So what else?
so we just, that area was all Molokai Ranch rentals.
Right.
And
That's for the Lunas, huh? Was that the Lunas? No.
it's called Howley Camp. And
Yeah.
the reason why they had Howley Camp, these guys don't know, they had Howley Camp, Japanese camp. Why was that?
Manila camp.
To keep from unionizing. They had the different races in different camps. It worked out that way. And so we were in Howley Camp, and but we had all kinds of people. We never saw a black person until the Coast Guard station out West End had a black family, and my mom made us go over and introduce ourselves and give something to them. And I remember putting my hand on the top of their hair and go. So
So growing up in the Mid Nite Inn, it was like our playground. One thing, my mom, she cooked dinner every night at home. We could have easily gone to the restaurant. My father would come home and have dinner with us, yeah. And but we always had dinner at home, and my mom worked her butt off. You know, back then being a teacher wasn't. They weren't unionized as like we are now. And they had lunch duty for the
Yeah.
kids, they had recess duty. They got in there early, they stayed late. I remember her working nonstop, coming home with migraines. But so where was I going with this? Where was I going? So anyway, she worked hard and she cooked dinner. But then after the girls went to St. Francis boarding, John went to St. Louis to do it. Milton DeMello, who was principal of Kaunakakai High, or he went to St. Louis. I was about to go to St. Louis, and my mom said, "Nah, yeah, the big man." So I'm glad I stayed. I'm really glad I stayed because my friends and everything, right, Kenneth? Yeah. Except Kenneth left. That's right. Kenneth went to Kamehameha. You guys say Kamehameha come back.
I came back.
Yes. So anyway, we ate dinner at home and over our old house. But then when they left, and my mom, just me, she had to cook for us, so we came to the Mid Nite Inn every night for dinner. We lived up the heights at that point. 1963, we moved up the heights. But my freedom was, when I was 6 years old, I got my bicycle. My little bicycle. To this day,
You're still riding bike.
riding a bike. But it was my freedom. That's what I got. I got on my bike. I had to turn around my paddlers. Never had paddlers, but there was a corral. It was a Molokai Ranch corral. I used to, that was the end. I had to stop and turn around. But so that was our freedom, yeah. You had a bike.
just wait for mom's yell
Oh, yeah.
in the evening for come really come fast. And Mrs. Fernandez and Mrs. Igusa, and they had a networker to check on us. Just got a call up the house. And those are days that we had multiple people on the phone.
Party line.
Yes.
Party line. Party line. Oh, and then you gotta ring so many times.
Two long and one short. or-
Long one shot. And Mary Kimball used to work at.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a telephone operator. Yeah. Yeah, Auntie
Yes,
Mary.
it was.
Yeah.
Even that in which we call her Papa. Yeah, she had that-
She's so waited, midnight in.
She used to have big hands.
Yeah.
She could carry like 4 plates on each side. She was amazing.
Like Penny.
It's the our life was naive in a sense. Our life was small, not a big horizon, but a mixture of people on this island made it big. We got to know all kinds of people. One of the final days that Mid Nite Inn was there, we had this senator from Colorado with base closing with Senator Inoue. Who's that Republican? He died.
Iron Farm. No.
No.
Mainland.
Mainland,
Oh.
Howard guy. Anyway, he would come inside, so I sat down next to him and asked him, "Why are you here?" He said, "Oh, we're going around base closing." I said, "Well, why only you here?" He said, "He was the one that was in the Hanoi Hilton. He was
I know.
so with them."
Senator
McLean.
McCain.
He was there.
McCain.
He was there for base closing.
So, came over here.
Yeah, he came and sat down in booth 22. And he said he always was to himself, so he stayed away. And I said, what is the chance of you closing any bases in Hawaii with Inoue being the head of the defense, department? In fact, we got more stuff. So we're Philip was right. We had ate at home. So when I was in the restaurant, I had the other way around. I had forced my wife to bring the kids down to the restaurant to eat with me. And sometimes they were dirty, so I washed them in the 3-bowl kitchen sink.
The Mid Nite Inn, growing up, it was like a playground. It was like, we had the whole restaurant. The cash register I had to do was a ching ching. So, I had to go to the Tomorrow store to buy candy or ice cream, which was 12 cents, right, for an ice cream. But it was like a playground. We ran around, played in it. We were hungry, we just eat whatever. I would go through all the condiments, the Saimin condiments and the tartar sauce. And my grandma's pumpkin mix for her pies and the custard mix and the apple. We just
Him, not just.
everybody, we all, yeah.
Grandma would have her glasses on, would be always with flour on it, right? You know how you make it.
Yeah.
Then he would be go over there with big 12 by 8 table, working table, and the hand would come up, him, doing the custard. Grandma would go.
It was a playground, and we had a bowling alley, right? We had a bowling alley, and 4 lanes, and had pin boys back there. It was like high school or pin boys, so I used to go out there and read their Playboy magazines. I just read the article. Then it went out of business. We put one up, and then Condiments put one up, and then Molokai, you get interested, everybody's into it.
Too many lanes.
And then one day I go to the restaurant, one afternoon, 1967, 68, I go to the restaurant, I was in 7th grade, and they're tearing up the back, and they put in a Helon. They put a bar in, I go, what's going on? I didn't know what was going on. My father said, yeah, Mr. Ridley finally talked him into going to be partners and opening a bar. And so they did, and Helon was kind of had its own reputation. Bullet holes in the roof and everything. And, used to be DJ over there. Was you? I know Sweet Mac was. I know Mac was. But used to be a DJ too. Once in a while. Sweet Mac. Huh? Remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And you know what he always said that, I believe? He always said that, no matter what. How's it going, Mac? Um, I just enjoy, never complain. They always said that. Anytime you say hi, remember him? Mac?
Work for
Just never complain, just enjoy.
Helon Bar was the place to go, I tell you. We were in 73, at 18, you can go bar, right? And you can go
I'm
drink,
Molokai.
you can drink, you can, no, at 18, you can.
Before.
Oh yeah, at 18, remember,
Yeah.
back in the day. And so in 73, that was the thing for do, for Helon, and go dance, and had Sterling's group, what the name? Sterling Kalu and the Kapune, no, not the Eptais, that was Pauhana. That was Seaside Inn. Oh, but anyway, they, Rockin' Robin, beep, beep, beep.
We used to go in Kaunakakai, had Pahane, well, Seaside Inn. What's Seaside still, yeah? Or Pahane?
Seaside,
What's
never
Seaside
come
Inn?
Pauhana till, when was that? The late 70s, early
70s.
80s,
Had
yeah.
Helon had Longing's Lounge, or the Bamboo Bar, and had
Condiments.
Had 4 bars that we used to go bar hopping.
Yeah.
We're legal, but there were a few of us that weren't. Like Debbie. No, but she looked more mature than a lot of the girls. So they never asked her, but
We had good fun.
we'd get so, oh my God.
We were responsible.
Yeah, right.
Well, I was.
Your
Yeah,
Honor.
my father did. And then, but then after that, he just rented it out, leased it out. But Mid Nite Inn also had a red light on the top. I don't know what the red light was for.
Oh, please.
No. No, it
Red
was for
light
the,
district.
it was for the, yes.
Plantation.
Tell them about it.
Oh.
Where was
The red light on, you can't come to work.
no more work?
Rain out or something.
Rain out. There was a light on the old electric building for Mauna Loa, I think was. One was for,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, one was, and that light is on. Nobody drive all the way to Mauna Loa to find out you no more work.
I want to Pule on the hill. Was that the
No.
light? Have a light somewhere.
Oliva and that electricity.
No, there was a light some. I remember that though. No more work.
I got one story about my mom, where she came here. She spent 1 year after she married my dad. But working at, one thing about my bike shop, I meet the most interesting people in the world. And Uncle Lali, Kaunakakai, big, handsome man. Came to my shop and he brought his Mokuna's bikes to fix. I'm fixing the bikes and he's standing over there talking to me. And he goes, "Hey, Philip, your mom, that's Miss Harder." I go, "What? Miss Harder?" "Yeah, I had her. She was Miss Harder. And she, for 1 year, she was Miss Harder. And then she was Mrs. Kikukawa." And to hear, that, and I learned, and you all should know this, that in life you gotta talk story. You gotta talk to the kapunas, to whoever. So I always ask my kids in school, "Oh, who's your grandpa? Who's your father?" And their great grandma is my classmate, And or anyway, always important to talk story and see who the other lineage, and you find out some amazing things about how people were like Hanai and same brother, half brother, your sister, not your sister, but mother don't know, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so it's
They had, my grandmother came from a highly entrepreneur family, the Komatanis. They had a dentist shop up in Kuala Lumpur for a while before Brap took it over. So she was, my grandfather was a contractor. He built Poku Ranch, he built the Chow building across the street, the nurses station, which is the fire station now, Komoi Theater. He built a lot of places. Yeah, he built a lot of places. So he built her one actual Saimin stand, which made, I saw a picture of it, it's bamboo looking. And then the Second World War came, and then the GIs came over. And this is how you ate and partied at the Mid Nite Inn. You went inside as a GI, full of them in there. You go inside, you drink, you eat, and then when you leave, you go to the cashier and you tell them what you drank and ate. And he's right. We have to talk story, because that's how you find out the connections, you know. My mom came over and we just gave the other museum just 4 years ago her steamer trunk. She came over on the steamer, right? A leather steamer trunk.
Yeah.
So she came over, and so we have nowadays even guys my age and older may weigh 150 pounds, everything. We still afraid of my mom. Very strict. Yeah, and she was very. Either you learned or you be seeing her face next year because she'll flunk you. And so having different kinds of parents was really interesting. My father used to go golfing every Wednesday, no matter what. He would go golfing with his friends. A lot of the people he hanged around with was the Plantation guys, you know, Raymuras, all the Plantation bosses and stuff. They used to go golfing together. And yeah, our life come about with eighth grade Kaunakakai school went all the way to 8th grade. So we, you know, after we get off of school, come down here and go to the restaurant and see. My father had a Formica covered ice cream
Soda fountain.
soda fountain.
I wanted you to mention that because, you know, it was so important, because I worked at Mid Nite Inn, and I tell you what, that was the draw for the young people, because even on TV at the time, it was the soda fountain that the teenagers would, and that was really super, like having a soda fountain on Molokai.
It was a long,
Yes, and ice cream sundae and shakes and everything. Yeah, it was full on.
Isn't that one original?
yeah.
Yeah.
That one I met at my mom yet.
Yes.
It came in the automatic. It came in its original box, and she got the box and she threw them away with the instructions.
Oh,
Never been
That's
been
a
used.
trip.
it,
So, but if you look at it, look at the plug. Look at the head of the plug.
The end of
The
the
plug.
plug, the end of the plug, yeah.
How many?
Prongs.
Two.
yeah.
Oh, three. That one has three. But the soda fountain wasn't grounded very well.
Yeah.
My sauce.
So you turn on the thing and you put your head on top. So we used to invite friends over. Help me. We put 18 scoops of ice cream, vanilla ice cream, and a real bottle soda. A bottle soda was made at the electric company.
Yes, yes.
Ice and
Yes.
pour them inside just enough, just here. So I don't know about him, but we were 4 years difference. So
It was-
I was very popular.
I remember as a young boy, the soda fountain, but after a while, he gave that up.
Yeah, why did that happen?
Well, because I think after a certain point, when my grandparents, my grandma didn't help out anymore, she retired or whatever, and it was too much for him to handle. And so he just kind of down. He was doing well with the restaurant. In back of the restaurant, well, had the bowling alley. The right behind the kitchen was the warehouse, and behind that was a big banquet area with cement floor. It was
Yeah,
became
big-
Helon. That became
And that
Helon.
became Helon.
And so behind that, my grandmother had a hothouse, and she raised orchids. But back in the day, I don't remember. Nobody here old enough that was an orchid lounge. You remember?
Yeah, so in other words, it was before Helon, it was that back area with maybe a four tile or hollow tile wall with pig fence,
Pig
a
wire.
big
Yeah,
covering that, and you could look into her hothouse, which had an open cesspool inside there.
oh,
That's right. Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah,
Open.
and it had, it was called the Orchid Lounge. Before it was the Helon, it was the Orchid Lounge. And stuff like when I came home from St. Louis, stuff that I would see somebody, a wife and a husband fighting at the bar. And then one time, the guy winds up and knocks out his wife. I looked at her and I go, "What's up?" She didn't have to say yes when the guy went asking for it and dance. He wasn't mad at the guy, he was mad at his wife. So that's the kind of stuff. Or we used to get the beer. You know, we take the food line there and just take that's it.
So you might have covered this already, but the Midnight Inn wasn't started by your parents, it was started by your grandparents?
Grandmother.
Grandmother.
Grandmother,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, she like I said, she was she raised flowers, she was a florist, she seamstress, that's why we have second story up, it's built for a second story, we used to live upstairs. And for instance, like Miki Paoli's mother was one of the Wahinis that stayed up there. And that telephone pole is the original telephone, the one that's kind of cracked up there. And she was escaping a bad domestic situation. She was on Molokai. And Mr. Paul used to give me up because we had like, not indentured, but you know, seamstress girls to work for my mom, my grandmother. And she was,
From Japan.
no,
From
from here, but very, very productive. After she retired, she died when I graduated from high school in '69, but before that she retired. The next door you could hear her pick. She was loosening up the ground for some more interiors. So
She had the hot house behind the restaurant, and then 2 hot houses where John lives now.
yeah.
She operated three full scale hot houses. She made always supplied Kaunakakai Baptist Church with flowers, and then on the side of the where the Helon is on the side was she lived upstairs. Had a warehouse underneath, and then she lived upstairs in a 1-room little apartment. And she had her husband's Buddhist little temple that they have in their homes. And then, so my grandfather was Buddhist, and she was Southern Baptist. So that was on the side, and I remember I used to go take a nap up there when I was a kid. And I remember one morning, one day, I wake up and I hear someone screaming. I run out and look, and my cousin is running past me with his on fire. He died 23 days later. Eric Kikukawa. And he had, and I saw the movie. I mean, the '80s. I'm watching TV one night, and he emulated the cowboy in the movie, and I saw that. I go, "Oh, that's the movie." He cowboy had his hand tied. He went to a candle to try to, and that's my cousin did, yeah.
Yeah, the chaps he had was a crinoline. Previous to yes.
And he ran by me like I didn't understand what was going on at all. And then my brother died a year later, within the same year.
We had a brother that was
Got crushed by a hot water heater.
and no sue job. So we didn't sue during those days.
There's something about good about Molokai.
Yeah.
So your brother was below you, or you're the baby?
2 years.
Between you
If
two?
you go come over
Older,
church,
2 years.
St. Joseph,
Uh-huh.
his grave is right there. And you look at it, it's so sad. You look at the gravestone, it was like 5 days before his 5th birthday.
My father drove him up, never had ambulance up to Shingles, but he died on the way.
And back then, dead one day, buried on the next day. Well, now you have
The house?
a long grieving period where, but now, yeah, they brought back to the house, spent the night at the house, and I remember my mom.
So during those days, simple-minded as far as mental disease, drug stuff, I was the first one to cry. Because I like, this is not right. Looking at my brother's body, because I think it was like within 24 hours, 48 hours, you don't have to embalm in the ground in those days. You can keep them in the house. So I was looking at that, and they gave me a sedative.
Really?
Yep. And
Um,
Right.
and then after that, I lost my hand in big grinder.
Yeah.
Stay with the big
we
grinder.
were having a bunch of not too good times.
Yeah.
It was hard on, very, very, very hard on my mom. Moving right along to something that my grandfather, Japanese contractor, had a horse. In the back of the Mid Nite Inn, he had a corral. His name was Smokey. And we never knew it, but he had that leather shin guards I mean,
The chaps, like.
chaps, no,
Yeah.
but it's more like a,
Solid.
like armor.
Yeah, leather.
We still had that in the house, and we had the saddle. And in the back had a Mexican shoe cobbler. The whole property didn't have no parking requirements. The whole property was building. And, uh, so for a Japanese gentleman during those periods to be riding a horse, you know, a lot of the things he built, his name couldn't be on it during the Second World War time, you know. Previous to that. He died when I was 2 or 3 years old, so I don't really know my grandfather. We all know my grandmother, and
So she was the oldest of the Kumatani family. She had 3 brothers and a sister, and the girls worked and helped the boys through college. One is a doctor, one's a dentist, one's a realtor, and so that's the way it was, you know. And,
The girls worked to put the boys through school.
yeah, but you know, everybody came out good. Everybody was happy, and I used to love when my cousins would come from Oahu and come and spend a summer or a couple of weeks and stuff, and go fishing with my Uncle Bird and stuff like that. My Uncle Bird was probably the best fisherman in Molokai. He was incredible. He found that he had a sanding pan, and you know, everybody had flat bottom boat, and he would go out there and throw a net or do whatever. But and all my cousins, when we come to Molokai, he would sit at the Mid Nite Inn, and we'd all gather around him. He did funny tricks for us with toothpicks and quarters and roll his eyes back and just tell us silly jokes. Funny, oh, you know, I roll the eyes.
Yeah, that's gross.
Let's do that.
Ew,
I
that's
have a
gross.
question.
Yes.
Did your Uncle Bert, was he a good baker too? Didn't he
Yeah,
bake all
no,
the great pies?
no. Uncle Howard, the one that had the sweet shop up in Mauna Loa.
He was a baker.
He did the
Why was he a good baker? There's a reason.
grandma.
No, he was allergic to flour. So the faster he did the flour,
Really?
you wash off, and flour, the least you touch it, the better the crust.
But so the
Baker has something to do with it.
pies at
Mid Nite Inn.
Midnight Inn,
Grandma made them,
grandma made.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Right
thought my
on the-
grandma was gone after that.
Yeah, when she died, that was it. No problem.
No more
Really?
pies.
Uncle Howard had moved to Oahu already because we had a supermarket. Yeah.
I thought
It's-
Uncle Bert made
And
it.
so Senator Inouye used to have his assistant call ahead and have my father making beef stew. He visited Molokai, and my grandmother had to make custard pie or something like that, and he would take home pie to his wife.
When after my dad died, my son Michael, who was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years old, they were at my mom's house, and he was running around in his underwear. And we get a knock at the door, and Michael runs to the door and opens it, and Senator Inouye. It was toward the end of his career, I think. Maybe not, but he came to our house to give his condolences to my mom. It was a big honor to have him come over. So they were in the 442nd Infantry.
Yes.
I don't think they were together, but they were both in the 442nd Infantry.
Your dad was in the 442nd?
So the thing that you don't know is that his freshman year at UH, he was playing center basketball. Then the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and then he joined up the 442.
So he never finished college.
And he didn't finish college, and he had a wound from a bouncing Betty S mine that came up, and it severed his Achilles.
I didn't know that.
So
I know he
he,
had pieces in it.
yeah, he couldn't, he had a floppy foot, so he couldn't play basketball. At that time, my grandfather had leukemia, so he had to, as the oldest son came back and ran the business.
So he played basketball with Red Rocha.
Red Rocha.
Oh my.
Was a coach of the Fabulous Five when they.
Yes,
when they-
university.
Yes.
Also, Mr. Kaunakakai, his dad was in the his grandpa was the 442nd also.
Right.
And they're,
Who?
Mr. Kaunakakai, you remember
Yeah,
at Works, the dress shop in town?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
his grandma, it's his grandma. And she was Mr. Kaunakakai back then.
Yes.
But yeah, so my dad went into the 442nd. And you know what? Whenever, it was such a big thing for them to get together.
Yeah.
I was thinking, you know, these guys, you know, they were more together, but it was so important for 442, like any other regiment or whatever. And I realized that they, you know,
the war. I think they were the moving political force after the Second World War. You don't know that, and it was nice to be in the restaurant and have all these dignitaries come up, and ask you what is the lay of the land, because we were the central social point in the island.
Yes.
So when Nishiki came over, he wanted to find out how much hot water he was in, or
Wayne?
Wayne he would call me up and say, okay, what's the truth about this, And during the Kaunakakai fiasco with the Thomas brothers, half of the dining room was pro, half was against. The West End side was for, and the more local side,
George Ariyoshi and Frank Fossey in the restaurant together.
Yeah.
During the campaign.
Yeah.
Having lunch.
And for some reason, when the restaurant burned down, I could use the building.
No support?
No need get no. That's why his side of the family, heavy Democrats, the boy. So,
So
people were important, but they weren't so gaudy about it.
what I used to like about the restaurant too is after we serve, house serve, you're super hungry, so we all go over there and they used to serve it. With your brothers, Pearson and Todd, but we all would go over there hungry and just eat whatever, hamburger steak and macaroni salad. And at night, after Pahana Inn closed, take people over there and make Saimin.
Yeah, talking about Saimin.
Yes.
My husband wants to know the recipe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, number one, Eagle Noodles is out of business. Multi-billion, biggest noodle company in Hawaii. The kids didn't want to take it over. So they went under. That's where our noodles came from.
Eagle.
And
What
our
was the
base, the original base, we had the big sheets of
Nori.
nori,
Not naughty.
Seaweed.
seaweed, and then
Shrimp.
use that, and you use opai, and
Dry
that-
opie or,
Or you could afford it back
fresh?
then.
Yeah, but that's the original. We eventually went into a pre-made thing from Japan, which came in a tin with 5-pound bags in it, and I knew that was good, and especially when I bought the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
And I got scolded for that.
Good.
And it's on the stove. It was like a 19 or 21 foot raised oil burner made out of diesel. It had an atomizer, and this is so BS about let's take care of the environment. We were already doing recycling stuff. It has a hearth, one big piece of iron, about 19, 21 feet long, with a tin. Everybody know a tinsmith? A tin heat rise hood, which they covered the whole stove. So we were sweating a lot behind there. And it was a atomizer, which diesel, and it blew in the hearth with a black pipe, which made the hot water. So the more we used the stove, the more hot water we had to wash the dishes. So it worked out really great. And then it went under 3 plates, came back down on the side, and there were 3 ovens. So we were getting hot water, we had ovens, and there was only one big hearth area where we did the heavy cooking. Each plate would have, for breakfast we'd cook hot cakes here. Closer to the hearth we'd do the meats and stuff like that. Or in certain places where we did the fish, we did the veal cutlet and so on. And my first learning about how other people made stuff was everything was basically made from scratch. The veal was a veal leg, boneless veal leg that we had to cut, take away the sinews, and then pound the shit out of it. And so when I first tasted my first veal, I went like, it was ground something. Ground tasteless, it was like white ground tasteless beef. And so we used to do that kind of stuff. I go to restaurants and look at the prices. I'm thinking to myself, my goodness, you know.
My dad used to, I mean, I couldn't believe how hard they work. And now I realize why our generation is industrious, semi-industrious. But those guys, he would go to the slaughterhouse, Mr. Medeiros rented a slaughterhouse, where across the street from the college now, where his college is. And pick up a half a cow in the back of the station wagon, take it to the night, and he had a bandsaw, he had everything, and he would slaughter or cut and use every piece, and then have to freeze it or put it in the walk-in or whatever. And I learned from that generation too, to be frugal and to not waste anything, like people do now.
Yes.
And so, for instance, we used to clean fish. We used to buy fish from anybody. He'd bring in papio, Mr. Mawai, Kiwi's dad used to bring in either kumu or a kule, but never have ice, because the ice is of the beer. But, but I remember we had a cooler full of papio. It was in the walk-in with ice, and I was in there for maybe 3 days. Papio goes faster, goes bad faster than some other fish, I think. But anyway, I took the cooler out, I opened it, and I told my dad, we're gonna throw away this cooler. I sorry, I got a little cold going. We gotta throw away all this papio. He goes, no way. And we put it into the sink, rinse them out, put baking soda on top, rinse them out again, just like fresh. Yeah. And we sold every one of them. So you learn to, not waste, right? And then, what was I gonna say about the papio? Because you throw away one fish, you sell 3 plates to pay for that.
Break even.
And so you cannot, the restaurant business together, And my dad, as you know, everything was like this much sugar,
Right.
with a spoon, a little bit salt.
Yeah.
And so we had to standardize everything. So John would try to, put in himself a measuring bowl and measuring spoons. How much is that? So much sugar. So he had it typed up in index cards in a file. Remember all the recipes.
Where are they?
Again.
Oh, yeah.
And then but had 1 pound to make porgy bean soup. Put in 1 pound macaroni at the end. So I look at them, and when you type 1 and L, it's like the same thing. It's like, okay, 11 pounds macaroni. So put 11 pounds macaroni. I'm thinking, wait, how many pounds macaroni make what? 12 pounds, yeah? One big. I said, wait, we use 12 pounds to make one big thing. So I ended up having to just try to, because it was still settled, it wasn't soft yet. I try to get out as much as I can. But I hated that freaking stove, man. Sometimes the blower would bring out the diesel, but the ignition, the spark wouldn't come out. And finally, it's like fire in the hole. And I hated that, man. I used to have dreams about it.
Keep showing your toes.
I used to have dreams about it. Sometimes we'd have to light paper towel and put them in there just to be sure. But and I remember one time Carl Mowat, I'm running in, because he used to deliver diesel. He came running in one evening, had the gas going, and customer, fill up your stove, I'm gonna put gasoline in the. So we didn't go up and we didn't explode.
We had a very clean tank though.
And talking about diesel on the earth here, when there was a broken pipe by Atlas, they would dig them up, and they covered it up. I came back from the mainland, because diesel everywhere, so there's a lot of contamination by all over Kaunakakai.
So this going back to the 4'2", my father, I didn't finish the story. He was playing basketball, right? He was playing center, a 6'1" center.
Japanese.
So he had the distinction of being the tallest guy in the 4'2".
That's not great.
German soldiers, Italian soldiers, small Japanese.
Big Japanese.
So when I took him to Saimin Private Ryan, he was flinching because he heard the burp gun go off, and he said, whenever you heard the German burp gun go off, somebody died.
I asked him one time, we were taking mango. I asked him, I was a little boy, Dad, did you shoot somebody? You can't let anybody. You know how kids are. Never, he said, he didn't talk about it. They never talked. They would talk about the war, but not about the killing and stuff. But they would talk like the German. Uh, what's the priest's name in the military?
Chaplain.
The chaplain from the German side, the chaplain from the American side would get together and meet and talk about casualties and stuff like that. So we tell us stories like that, but, not about the fighting and stuff. Yeah.
The only time I had to talk was when I made 8th grade or something. This is Yamashita. Maybe we had to write a essay, so I wrote one called Wounded in Actions. That's when I found out. What happened was they went out on a recon patrol. They were in France or Germany. Anyway, they went out, they reported, called back, walkie-talkie back, and reported whatever they saw, and they turned around. Meanwhile, the Germans had come and mined the pathway. It actually was in a stream. And somebody triggered the mine and hit pretty much the whole patrol. So the second Louis, which we're not supposed to be done, was the only guy that wasn't quite hit by the blast, went back to get help. German sniper shot him dead.
Luckily, at that time, it was toward the end of the war, and the Germans didn't have much metal, and so instead of putting metal for shrapnel, they had chunks of cement and glass and stuff. So it would have gone through his helmet. He had a dent in his helmet, but
Wow.
yeah, he survived. But I remember sneaking into Triple Hospital. My mom was sneaking me in behind a wheelchair, and because my dad was there getting shrapnel out. So this is like
It come out.
59.
It moves around up the shot.
Oh.
So it was give you some time thing when you were thinking away in the ambulance over the dirt road, down out the bombs. German panzer came and sprayed by the ambulance, but they never used big shells on ambulances. So he said we took a very fast ride out of it.
And so my parents, right back to them. So my mom came right after the war. She was working her way from Connecticut around, and she went to Yale. She was the first group of co-eds, of girls, to go to Yale because all the men left and they had room for girls. So she started that, and then she went to Grosse Pointe, Michigan, one of the, I understand, a very affluent community, and taught there for 2 years. And then she came to Molokai, and they lived up in Aloha, and she taught in I don't know what the school was called, but they had a real ice box with ice inside, and then the war just ended, so all the military guys.
Did your mother say why she came from such a prestigious?
She was working her way around my mom was very
Drive
adventurous.
Molokai.
She was working her way around the world. And she met my dad and like so many other people, she stopped and raised a family. Like, we a lot of white holy teachers married to local guys, And so she had some interesting stories about living up there in Aloha as a white, and it was a very big deal for the #1 Japanese son to marry a holy girl. That's
Wow.
We were the first
for both
Wow.
families. And I felt it a lot. Yeah, John. We were like the outcasts of our family in Hawaii and Molokai.
Mhm.
And all our cousins, our second cousins and stuff, we were like second rate. I felt.
Because of being Haole.
Yeah. Half breed. I used to hate that.
They called you
You know
half.
how
Yes.
some
I'll let you know you can
some
go.
Japanese they go golfing and they get black. They get dark real fast. So my father was one of them. He's a big man, so they thought half the population of the island, if not more than that, thought he had Hawaiian blood.
And
Your dad?
Kikukawa. sounds Hawaiian.
Kikukawa.
Oh, Kikukawa.
When I was dating up in the mainland, I was Kikukawa. Okay. Anyway, so
Masacho hula.
did you surf? Yes, I did. Did you skydive? Yes, I did. Well, anyway, to have a large father,
He was a big man.
Yeah.
Mr.
And
Kikukawa.
people,
He was handsome
people,
man.
and people, like I said, thought he was Hawaiian,
Yeah.
born Hawaiian,
I did.
and he wasn't. He was just a large guy.
Plenty aloha. You know what? I wanted to comment real quick, you guys. Where's the place in France where they honor the big seminar Normandy? So when we went this past summer, there was a reverence. It was there were a lot of people there, but it was very quiet, which I appreciated in respect for the dead. But as I looked out in the ocean, I went, how many boys were not recovered? And their probably their names are there, but you know, as a mother, you would want to see your boy. Yeah, that broke my heart. But I also thought about your father and that generation who served in the military and was honored. They honored their position. They honored their patriotism by fighting for this country and wanting to. And then coming home in the 70s, I don't know if you guys remember, I remember 73, Philip, watching the boys coming back from Nam and how the country had just totally berated them. And I can imagine your dad and all these guys that fought for this country and to watch this. So sometimes I get really upset when I hear about the disrespect of the military, because I think this country at one point was such a great country, you know, when it came to patriotism. Whether whatever your political views, and that's probably part of the problem, we're so spoiled in this country, but honor the veteran. I mean, that's the way I just wanted to add that.
When they entered into Paris, the Arc of Triumph,
Yeah.
well, some slant-eyed boys got there first, but they were put in the back of the parade.
It's true. Well, the other thing I remember is that there was no debriefing for the men who fought in that war. No debriefing at all.
Debriefing was called shell shock.
Yeah. And you're on your own.
Yeah, but
And
you're on your own. Like now, it's so important, the debriefing, but they had none of that.
I had a father-in-law that passed away recently, was in the Korean War, and they were the same built.
Yeah.
You know, and it took Vietnam War for them to get organized as Korean War vets. However, they had a lot of help from South Korea. South Korea paid the whole way. And 442 went through horrendous times because they were part of the cannon fodder that they sent up on high. The Germans were, especially in France, they were on the high ground already. They were entrenched, right? They were kicked off the continent, so they were entrenched. So they had full-on charges up these hills and getting slaughtered. They were honored by the Texas outfit, which we went. 442 went in and saved, but in saving them, they lost more men than they saved. So the Texas people have been so gracious to the 442 people. And they've had, 40 years ago, they had them in Texas, and they had a lot of awards and stuff. So
We
So
need to honor the
it's really easy to be brought up and live in Molokai and really wish for the old days, because they were more straight. Handshake was a handshake.
Yes.
Contracts are broken all the time, but a handshake weren't broken. All you know is,
So going back to the restaurant.
yeah.
When I went to college and I came back and we were taking over from my dad. My dad was retired. And we went from having 2 waitresses, 1 cook and 1 dishwasher. That was it. 2 waitresses, 1 cook, 1 dishwasher. And then Molokai was beginning to get a little busier. And then we ended up, when I left, there were 3 waitresses, 1 pantry worker, 1 cashier, at least one or 2 cooks, and a dishwasher. So we almost tripled our employment at
What year was that? What year was that?
80, early 80s when I came back. And then, let's see, we did that.
Where did the name Mid Nite Inn come from?
Back when my grandmother had her little Saimin stand, there's different stories, but what I remember is the steamships would come over from Honolulu and unload, and it took them until late at night, maybe not until midnight, but toward midnight, to work. And of course, the dock workers, after working all night, they're hungry. So my grandma would make them beef stew, whatever, and so she was open at midnight. I think it's a very catchy name.
Yeah.
The Midnight Inn.
Midnight Inn, they close at 9 o'clock.
But 3 meals a day, and I worked the morning shift at Midnight Inn, and
What
you
year
know,
was this?
yeah, we started early. This would be 1957, 1958, and I tell you,
What's the
yeah,
difference?
It was small.
I
Yeah.
remember.
You know, I was happy with I didn't know. I didn't even know you were from Molokai. I thought you were from Honolulu or something. No.
I went to Kilohana
What's
school.
your maiden name?
Yeah, Kilohana.
What's
I
it-
went
what's the maiden
Kilohana
name?
school.
What's your maiden name?
Angelius. Nobody knows.
Come along.
But you know what is I was talking to Vivian. I know
I know what
one
the
time,
name is.
15 years ago, talking to her. I remember the first time we saw her and Blah at the restaurant. For some reason, you remember these things. I remember, oh, Dad, who's those people? He was talking to them, and very nice people at first. I was talking to Vivian, and she said, oh, I used to live with your grandma.
Yeah.
She used to work at the Midnight Inn, but she lived up Manai.
She's a Kanahele. Yeah,
So-
she's
so-
from Kamalo.
So she couldn't go home and go high school and then come back. So she lived with her grandma.
Right.
She was telling me that story, and like I said, you got a top story and you learn all kinds of stuff. Like you, just like right now, I didn't realize. I thought you were from Honolulu. All this time.
You're so
I remember-
sophisticated.
A junior.
I remember her. She was the voice of this.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, no problem.
Sue,
Fine.
Sue those suckers. She was a voice of Miss Molokai pageant, the Miss Teenage
That is
pageant.
beautiful.
I used to love it. Yes.
Good mentor for us girls.
Yeah, you remember that?
Oh, I do.
Oh yeah,
remember.
every year for years.
The pageant.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
You need to be interviewed.
that was so much fun. We had the Molokai. Okay, Molokai back then. We had the 2 plantations, the Molokai Ranch. Everybody worked. Us guys work pineapple field. You learn how to work,
Everybody works.
especially if you work for their Mr. Mertens.
Especially,
It's all about
especially when they leave you in the field overnight.
And so, we learned to work. You made $1.60 an hour. Worked hard. I didn't work. I didn't pick. I couldn't pick. But I worked preparation.
Pull up.
And I remember the day going to work and when Mr. Paul, not Mr. Paul,
Horner.
Mr. Horner passed away. Yeah, and we did Warren Wendell.
Window. Yes. And the Park Boys.
Yeah. Anyway,
We were there.
well, you worked over there.
We worked that day. And I
Wow.
remember pulling up to the.
You weren't invited.
You were my Luna, John. I thought you were hot. You're still hot. I'm hot. Anyway, John. What you call our crew? I remember the girls going, "Oh, John Kikukawa is so handsome." But you were at college, and then that was your summer job. But you were the best Luna because you're so easy. Whatever, John. Whatever. But what you call Philip? No, we pulled up, and the accident already happened. So we
Yeah.
have to go on the side and wait for the police to do their thing. Sonny, Roy Hana.
Oh,
Roy.
yes. I
Buddy,
remember.
Buddy Horner was,
Worked for.
that year I was a Luna under, Von Dembski.
Yes. Oh, Mr. Bontempi, yeah, Raymond.
And so I came a little early
He
and we
was
were on
there
the
too.
side
Yes.
with the accident. And Buddy was, I had the distinction of having 2 machines for the same pay. Anyway. And one was the old tatas, which you didn't have to do anything. All you had to do is push pencil. Which I asked the old tatas. Push pencil means, Mr. Bontemski said, John, this field has 111 acres. By the time you're done with this field has 138 acres. How come? It's called
Push pencil.
You get the machine into the next block, you count that block for that day. And the next day you use that block again, you count that block.
Oh,
So I stayed with you guys a lot because young guys,
yes.
a young adult, that was crazy.
John Makaluna?
Foreman. Gang.
Supervisor.
Or gang.
Yeah, we had Boru, Koimura, somebody came up to us and gave us this stock by where the reservoir is. That's where we were picking pine before it had the reservoir. And he said, I'm proud of you guys. You're the only guys left because you have a tractor with not a truck harvester. We have a tractor with treads so you could go in the mud. We're proud of you. You're the only one left, and we're all these.
So back then Molokai was, what I'm saying, was really simple. We had everybody work in the summer, real kind of work. Not like you see some kids now, they're in, anyway. And Molokai was, the economy was really good because we had the plantations, everybody worked.
So we had
And-
4 theaters on the island?
Yeah, we had 4 theaters, Manolo, Kolapu, Kukui.
Kukui and Kamoi.
How many gas stations did we have?
Oh.
Wild guess. How many? Just wild.
A
Just give me a number. Give me a number.
7.
8.
7.
Okay. 12. We had
East
Pule,
End.
Hohoku Ranch, Aping,
Ping,
Yes.
at
that's
Camilo
right.
Loa,
Yeah.
how you guys place,
and then
Oshiro's,
Oshiro, Shell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then,
Dua Shells at my gas station.
oh, okay, and Kim's
And
Garage,
Kim's, and then had Rollins,
right?
and then had across the street.
Aloha's too.
Well, that's Rollins, that was Rollins, yeah.
Across the
Oh,
street.
no, I'm talking about the homestead.
Oh, no.
They did?
Across the street had Kaunakakai Sales and Service. Then he opened up on the corner. And then had Kuala Lumpur Market, Honolulu had one.
Yeah.
So we're going into the Kings area. More than you think.
And Luna means foreman.
Now
So he was a
2 gas stations.
Yes.
And I worked for Francis Takata, $33.60 an hour, but the gas was
We're going
33.3
backwards.
cents.
I worked for
33.3 cents.
Midnight Inn at about 95 cents an hour.
I worked for Del Monte for $1.25 an hour. And when I was a Luna,
How much
I
you
made
paid?
$125 a week, and so I took a day off to see if it actually paid.
I remember
was
my
down to
first paycheck,
60.
I couldn't believe it, because when you start working, by the time you get your first paycheck, it's 3 weeks into it.
Yeah, they,
You know,
So you
it's
gotta
up, so I got a check for like $220-something.
Big
Couldn't
time.
believe it, man.
We're rich.
My surfboard, my surfboard.
Those days when $10,000 was the amount, you made $10,000, you were a rich man. You
A year.
You were in
Annually.
a year. You were
Oh, a
in the
year.
money. You were in the money at $10,000.
And everybody worked, and we had money to go to the carnival, right? Go to the fair, everybody had money. At the end of the summer, everybody go home, go buy clothes,
For school.
nice shirt and everything. And everybody knew everybody. All the families knew each other.
Fernandez.
Never had
Fernandez
West End,
E.K. Fernandez.
E.K.
and
Fernandez.
then Wally Yee. And never have the West End. Kaunakakai Ranch Camp ended right on this street. Never have anything else above that. Camilo Heights was like the upper middle class Molokai. And that's where I met the Mertens. Judy used to work, they lived above us. Judy and Bill, before kids. And then her Volkswagen thing, what year was that?
That was 1965.
And her Volkswagen, her car couldn't make it up the hill. Her car couldn't make it up the hill. So she used to park down below and go walk up. So my mom's, oh, this poor holy girl. And then the house that they lived in is my house right now.
Oh,
And,
that's Judy's old house.
And then when my parents, so my mom was working her way around the world, right? This was her second stop. And then, but she did continue her voyage around the world. In fact, Mertens have the most interesting upbringing because they lived in Philippines, China, Hong Kong, all over the world. And so my parents stayed with them in China and had a really good visit. It was communist China. It was full on the military hats and all that stuff.
Yeah. And your dad cooked a special meal for the cotters in where we were living.
Uh-huh.
It was a very big honor for your dad to
Uh-huh.
do that, and they loved it.
And you know one thing I learned from Judy is even with my colleagues, you know, it's like Mike, other Mike, but it's hey, Mr. Kahale. I like people calling because I remember Mrs. Mertens in calling Dali Luoloa, Auntie Dali, everybody, you know, Dali,
Yes.
Mrs. Luoloa. She would call everybody Mrs. Luoloa like that. And so I learned that that's pretty, you know, it's respected. Now kids, it's Mr. you know.
Or Miss or Mr.
And so anyway,
Terrible.
your turn. What else now? Oh yeah, but okay. So that was the plantation lifestyle of Molokai, right? Everybody knew each other, the families, everybody. And then things changed, and where you go into friendly market, you don't know half the people anymore. You used to know everybody, right? You used to go in there and know everybody. And then COVID hit,
Do you want us to leave?
and COVID hit, and we used to go to friendly Misaki's, and you knew everybody again.
Yeah.
Nobody was flying around. It was really nice knowing everybody in there. Look at that, like the old days.
And even with the mask, you can recognize
Oh,
people.
yeah.
Hey, how's it?
Yeah.
I think that the eyes, just need the eyes.
Have you noticed that when you ask somebody where they're from, they tell you where they live now?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, the generational question different. So, there's no buy-in, physical working face to face. What you said, the most important thing over here is talk story. You rude. You go see your friend and he walk towards you and you walk away. You just snubbed him, you know. So that's the hard thing about it. The changes that people over here is the guys that come over and big family. It's like plenty of you guys and my mom did. And we can say we were semi outsiders too because you know my father's side came from Japan and from Oahu, and my mom comes from there. But they put their lives, they raised families, they built relationships, they taught kids, they served food, they went to church, and that kind of holistic living is what draws people to Molokai, but they don't know it and they don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
You know, it's the white man
Yeah.
syndrome we got going now. And I'm not meaning to be divisive here,
You just
but it's a fact because at least I had a smart friend of mine. His wife was straight up with let's get rid of the fishing equipment because we only ride boats. You know, we bought the equipment. Why? Just then we were fishing. And so
No, I think, John, and I wanted to comment on your comment. Do you want us to leave?
no. Is that what you said? I didn't hear you.
Should we leave or something like that? I don't think that's the issue. The issue is understanding Molokai, understanding how the people who come from this place, how we think and how we, rock and roll. I think there is a distinction between people who come here and don't get that message and just live here in their own bubble. Molokai has always been inclusive. We're always included. So sometimes even for me, and I'm married to a Haole man, and I had to teach him what it's like to be here in Molokai. If you want to be able to be successful in Molokai, you really gotta change your way of thinking, yeah. So it's really a matter of thinking, having that information and how you're gonna use that, here in Molokai. It is a unique community. And yeah, the expectations are unique too. So yeah, if you wanna be successful in Molokai, be happy in Molokai, yeah, there is a code. There's a certain code. And Aloha really is, encompasses everything. So anyway, just wanted to share that.
For instance,
the younger generation still as well.
I think the younger generation is like the world is nuts. And I think that the younger generation, maybe I shouldn't say nuts, but confused.
They get information from outside.
All over they get instant information
they don't have truth.
and it's not necessarily true or accurate. So I think the younger generations are confused with the information that's available. When we were growing up, there was two information, the right and the wrong. And so we really wanted to do the right because that's just the way we were wired. Today, the world is different. So the younger kids here in Molokai, we need to educate them. We need to teach them. That's our kuleana. And I think as Hawaiians and local people here in Molokai, our commitment or our kuleana is to teach the newcomers or the outsiders that come. That is our kuleana. So, if you have any questions and you see me go, hey, Kawe, blah, 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 I have an issue. I'll be more than happy because that's what we're supposed to be doing. Helping people understand why things are done the way they're done. here, Molokai.
I'm gonna add to that. I want to add to that. I have to tell you folks a wonderful story that a woman told me, and I'll tell you her name. Her name is Janet Tamanaha. And she said, Pat, this was recently. She said, I have to tell you a story. And I said, okay. She said, when my family and I was a child, we landed on the shores of Molokai, Kaunakakai Wharf. There we were with our belongings, very meager, whatever, my dad, my mom, and us, and we were there. Because we were needing a job, my dad and everything. She said, we landed at Kaunakakai, and we looked around, and it's pretty barren there and everything. And she says, along comes this Hawaiian man on his, I can't remember whether it was a wagon or what kind of vehicle it was. She said, along comes this Hawaiian man, and he says, now remember, the Japanese at that time spoke Japanese, and the Hawaiian families mostly spoke Hawaiian at that time. So the guy comes up and says to them, do you need help? Somehow they communicated. And so he takes them, but they have nowhere to go. So he takes them to his homestead up at Ho'olehua. They still had no place to go. They stayed that night in their humble shack at Ho'olehua, and the family fed them. It was the Pua'a family fed them, and they still had nowhere to go. This Hawaiian family told them, you know what? If you like, build a lean-to against my house. Go get some lumber, whatever we can find. Put a lean-to. You folks, if you don't mind, you stay there with me. That Tamanaha family stayed there with this Hawaiian family. That said, yes, that said, we don't have much. Go get some wood, build a lean-to. You know what? This is Earth 4 now. And that's where the family stayed. And their two women became what she said. I was her Hawaiian sister. And that was my Japanese sister, But they didn't have much, but they shared. And to share that home, I've never forgotten the story. And I'm glad I have an opportunity to tell you how little you have if you can share it. You sometimes have to make that first effort. Even though you cannot communicate, they couldn't communicate, but they could communicate love and help. And that aloha comes from you too. You can't just expect it to just flow from everybody else. You have to make the first step forward. And I tell you this, the people, and not necessarily because they're Caucasian, my daughters married all Hawaii men, so I have all these white great-grandchildren and children. So I'm not prejudiced, but I'm saying that the ones who are accepted are those people that make the first step towards the Hawaiian people, towards the Japanese people, towards the local. You give of yourself too, and you will see it coming back.
That's how we ended up here too. My
Yes.
great grandparents, I guess, were indentured servants. Were at the plantation, right? And they, my great grandfather, he didn't like the lifestyle working in cane fields, coming from Japan and working in cane fields. So he ran away, broke his contract, so he was a fugitive. And
If he shows his ID, he would get arrested.
and he couldn't work, so he gambled. Kometani. And so he gambled and made a fortune. He made a lot of money. He said, okay, let's move back to Japan, because that was the plan. You come here, make money, and go back to Japan. With double or nothing. Before we go, he lost everything. So they ended up becoming Christians, is what I understand. And then they worked at Mid Pacific Institute, as gardeners or whatever, but they did side job taking care of the kids' laundry.
They cooked when they was in school, and when they weren't in school, they were gardeners.
So that's how they ended up. That's how we ended up here. And we used to go to, you know, like I say, we're the only Haole family. You get together with our family was all Japanese, right? And then slowly but surely, everybody, all. And I see Kaunakakai over here. It brings me to his mother, Auntie, what's her name? Kamara.
Oh, Dad.
Oh,
Yes.
Great.
the mother,
Great
the
was
mother,
here.
the mother.
Oh, Auntie,
What was your mom's name?
Ruby.
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 Ruby,
He's a Hanukkah.
Kaunakakai,
Yes.
and Duke Leo, my dad were classmates. Kaunakakai school was by Kalapu'ula.
Yes.
They're classmates, so I just remember those three, and they would get together once in a while and talk story, and interesting. One thing I gotta say, the best thing I ever did growing up on Molokai, besides having a bike, the bike of my life, I used to love my bike. The George Manatee went right up into the ocean, out of the park. That was it. It just so.
Why you would let him ride your bike?
And the things, we floated upside down, and the beer cans floating, and the light vegetation, dry vegetation floating with them. Very John, low tide.
Who's that?
Put them over the
Oh,
side.
that was Barako.
No,
Barako.
That was another bike.
Barako was with
Robin,
the Toyota.
Toyota Land Cruiser.
That was,
Steering on his
Junior
roll bar. Steering with his feet. Steering on the roll bar. Steering with his
Oh,
feet over the edge. But the best thing I did growing up on Molokai, besides riding bike, is surf. All I wanted to do was surf. And finally got my first surfboard from Richard Fernandez. And the thing about surfing is, like, I see Bucky back here, the Españolas, I got to know the Malolo, the Cigaretans, the Españolas, all the surfers from up there. And then for Olegoa, I got to know Choklang and Lalani, everybody, all the Keoloa brothers. I got to know all of them. At Manae, I got to know Walter McKee and Bill Castor and Raymond and everybody. So I got to know, because usually you stayed in your neighborhood, right? But surfing, you got to go here and there. And so I got to know all of these different guys. And I was a good surfer, so we had respect for each other. I remember catching one wave with Todd at Halava. And I was behind him. He was going on the inside, and we both were wiped out and ended up each other. I could feel Todd under the water.
Hitting you.
Punching wherever he could.
Because you were territorial and you didn't want you there. You know, just wanted to mention, when we were growing up in the 50s, East End, there was no reason for you to go Mo'omomi or West End. You have no business, and vice versa. If you saw West End people at East End, it's like, what you doing over here? Because it was so territorial back in the day. So I just wanted to bring that up. It was very territorial.
And we had Del Monte or the Plantation sponsored dances down at the gym. That was territorial too. I got into a beef with it, and that was just because.
You would ask one
I was from
Eastern girl for
Molokai.
dance.
Yeah, something. No, I would ask one girl and
Monologue.
she would lead me, so I never liked her. Anyhow, so it was territorial.
Yeah.
You know, and Gumibi behind the cafeteria if you're up at the high school. You know, that kind of action.
You used to have the Eastern boys fighting the Ho'olehua
Still to
boys.
this day.
The,
Still to this
what?
day.
Still
A couple weeks ago.
And then Mauna Loa boys against Kaunakakai boys, Kaunakakai boys against Ho'olehua boys, Kaunakakai boys against Eastern. That's ridiculous. This island is so small.
But I think that in the ancient days, didn't East Molokai or West Molokai eat Kabela? That was wrong. That's what I understood.
Don't know. I'm surprised that that still goes on. That's so sad.
So
Shouldn't be happening.
when I had one guy under me when I was a Luna, this one guy, his half brother came and saw me at the dance and wanted to beat me up. This is Wallace Seacom.
Oh, that's good. Mrs. Wallet. Oh, Auntie Maggie. Auntie Maggie.
What?
Yeah. Auntie Maggie.
What you're holding in your hand.
To this day.
Yes.
So I talked about surfing. Like I had to go talk to our parent yesterday because he was. So I had to go talk to our parent, and he was a small boy when I was older and surfing. So I knew him. He knew me. I knew him, and we had that bond. And so it was really easy to talk to him. And he was kind of irate about what's going on, but it made it a lot easier. And that's what the thing about Molokai teaching. You know everybody. I went to school with the grandparents, and I taught the parents of the kids that I work with now. And people ask me, how come Molokai is so special? Why is there less development here compared to you just look across the ocean? You can see Maui. You look over, you can see between Diamond Head and Coco Head, you can see Waikiki and everything. It's so close. Why is Molokai? And I said, well, it's obvious that we're one community. And if we don't want a development, we all get together and we try to stop it. And we have Lao Point and other developments, Kayakara, other developments that keeps it special. But also, if you look at a map, look at the globe, the largest body of energy on Earth is the Pacific Ocean, right? And it's like this huge, massive energy force. And then you got the Hawaiian Islands right smack in the middle, right? And then right smack in the middle of the Hawaiian Islands, what do you have? Molokai. So we're like the center of the earth, believe it or not. We are right here, the center of the universe. So we're a lot of energy, a lot of mana, right?
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of mana. And I was told that kahunas used to come to Molokai to learn whatever they did, the religion.
We had one of the strongest kahunas out of the Kukui.
Lalikaula.
And
So a lot of energy here. It is a very special place.
You talk about development, and I don't believe in reckless, irresponsible development, but I do think Molokai needs some stuff. But anyway, that's another conversation. When we were growing up, the healthcare was awesome. We had a good hospital. There was small kind surgery, I remember up here.
Yes.
We could give birth and no even have one doctor. So the healthcare was awesome. Education, I thought, some of my best education, Philip, was at Kilohana School. I had some awesome teachers. Going to Kamehameha was awesome. But the foundation, the cricket, Mrs. Maltaire, she was Miss Monroe, but she married the guy from Young Brothers. She was really pretty. I love Miss Monroe. And so we had all these haole teachers and Kepani. So Japanese and haole teachers. But Miss Monroe, I just loved her. Mr. Rooney, I loved him. These are haole teachers that really, really took care of us. And back in those days, you're right, they have to watch the playground, and we never need one cross God. We knew, get kaka mean, don't cross the road. So we had common sense. It was a special time on Molokai. The economy was good, so this town was lined with stores, and the economy was hopping and
Christmas lights.
This is so ghetto. We don't have the Christmas lights now. That's something we got to figure out, you guys. But I just wanted to illustrate how much more, way more vibrant, and the services we had back in the day. So I really feel that we're digressing.
Compared to the people in the outer islands, we're kind of primitive, yeah.
Yeah, we're the cool Aina.
Yeah. I got away with a lot of traffic tickets just saying, okay, Rena, how much fishing? Good. Oh yeah, you didn't do Noodles, yeah. So it's a very special place.
you guys know, the locals especially know that when you go off island and you say you're from Molokai, you get better service.
Yes.
And it's fun. It's
A
a
little
game.
extra maybe too.
It's a game I do. And it's ask, a cab or something. Who do you know from Molokai? They know somebody. You know that person. Fun to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, we that saying, make Molokai change you, that thing. Those big targets of how to act are just big targets to how to act. You guys were talking about being proactive and actually going up and saying, Mike Helm makes his grandkids, rightfully so, go up to my mother-in-law and to my wife and kiss them every time they see them.
Yes.
Because that's how easy it is. You can walk past somebody and you knew them all this time and they don't say hello to you, you get offended,
Yes.
or you offend them if you don't, because you're thinking about doing something else. So it's active socializing. It's active caring for it. It's when somebody stop outside the road, stop and say, "You need help," or just go your home and go like that. You know.
When your car breaks down, they take you home, and it can be 20 miles, and they have to go 40 miles to round trip.
Or when you get flat tire on your bike.
And then, okay, cricket, maybe we can play a game. Let's name all the businesses
Oh my,
coming down from, was Rollins and the Shell.
yeah.
And then it used to be Kikukawa's, I think, Mayo. And then
Cold drink, you go.
Araki store.
Keep going.
Oh yeah, the dress shop.
The dress shop.
And then had Longy's bar, had Bamboo Bar.
No, we have the dress shop like Mango Lane.
Yeah, but after, across that.
Oh, across that way?
We're talking about Kiwanis store.
Yeah, yeah, oh, okay.
And Harry Chung's store.
Yeah, Harry Chung.
You missed
Had the
that.
Saimin shop.
After Kiyofaga.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Saimin shop and then my dad's store and then the theater.
Alcohol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bob. Oh, yeah.
Same food store.
Okay, Papuano.
Kiwanis.
And then the bakery.
Then the bakery.
And then
Memorial.
Where's the pool hall?
Harry Chung.
Oh yeah, had two pool halls.
No, the
One
pool hall was over
in the
here.
corner.
Yeah, right.
That was over here.
Pool hall.
And then one that was across the Friendly Market. Right?
Okay, we had two. I remember. Yeah. Kind of right next to each other, but a couple of doors apart. Yeah. Two pool halls. Had dogs running everywhere. You walking in town, all of a sudden, oh shit. And so we got used to that, right? It was like, minor. But
Or two dogs stuck together
I remember
in the middle of the road.
when they had renting his horse, renting his horse to town. When they had used to bring his horse like Kamoy Theater.
You guys remember horses in town?
Yeah. When they had would bring his horse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one horse.
Yeah.
Oh.
You get and wearing palaka shorts. All the fishermen get palaka shorts. And Kaunakakai, no more shirt. No more shirt, no more service. Not too many guys will be served. No more shirt, barefooted. Walking around on hot black cement and tar asphalt. You know, and like you said, dogs, bad dog catchers. So the dogs are doing their thing all through Kaunakakai.
Right in the middle of the road.
Right in the middle of the road. Across where, right down here where they used to have the hollow tile wall in front of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Dad, what? I see two guys with a Kanki knife, they're gonna fight. Two old tatas all mad, all toasted. Go fight like this, they go like this, they'll both jump back.
What about that building, that building above, Hapin? Used to have that veranda, I mean, that little,
That was a
all the,
hotel. That
oh, that
was
was
the
a hotel.
hotel. That was the hotel.
oh, I remember the tatas at the top going psst, psst, as young girls walking under the,
The balcony,
nails,
yeah.
nails.
And then they didn't have second floor too, huh?
Yeah, that's where the family used to
Even above
live. Seamstress
Groceteria,
shop.
even above Groceteria, and had the
Yeah,
florist,
that's right.
like Foster, Mr. Foster, the Filipino man. Was it Foster? No. What is name? Ricky.
What did he do?
So the seamstress. I remember we would go and above Groceteria, above
Oh, I remember
Groceteria.
that.
You know, I don't remember that.
Only know Alcon is.
I remember Kim's next door where he
Only
used to fix
Alcon I
TV.
knew.
Kim used to fix
Oh, I
TV.
had the Malu son. Yeah.
Half the family.
The boils it right down, Galway.
No, I don't remember that.
And at Molokai Market, right next to the university.
And I got to tell you one thing about the class of '73. When Cowie came back and Jeffrey Pedock came back, Robert Kalanatang, everybody went out to different schools freshman year, so a lot of us came back. But when we graduated, we didn't want to wear cap and gown, so we said we're gonna wear Hawaiian wear, white shirt, green sash, white shoes. The girls all wear bolo moves. And then the parents and the administration, everybody said, cannot, that's not tradition. And we said, hey, this is our graduation. So this is the meeting we had. And then they say, we're gonna spend all this money on the holo moves. They're only gonna wear them one time. He said, we wore them to the prom. So everybody went to the prom. We wore they wore the holo moves. They were so sweet. It was on Pahana Inn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1973.
You know?
1973.
And then we put the rock over there too, in front of the store, in front of the school, the rock that everybody paints over and over and over and over.
Yes.
Yeah, we're the tree that we had a very special. We painted the barn from one of the farmers. The barn was the second year. So, yes.
Do any of the T-shirts survive? Best Okoli in town.
Well, actually, the legal ramification of that is one guy made me sign off on the shirt, so he has to search for him. But this is, I was gonna show you, this is the shirt, but
Original. This is the original.
Original.
Clifford Harita had a friend who printed shirts. And he came to us and goes, hey, you guys like this shirt? You guys like it? So I like this one a lot better, actually. This is a beautiful shirt.
So
This is the one I remember.
we had this,
This one.
we had Okole over here, scratched out with a coolie on the top. My mom said,
That would be your
"Why
mother.
for Roman Catholic, East Coast Yankee mom, go, you can't do that." I told her what the profit was. She said, "Well, maybe that."
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Yeah, we had, at the restaurant, we had, every major family had somebody, Wahini especially, work for us. Unusual restaurant because I earned my way through colleges in the restaurant business, and you don't hold on to employees very long. But in Mid Nite Inn, we had employees that, Aloha's that worked there for 25 years, 30 years.
Yes, Alice.
She worked
Hirose.
And then
She was a workaholic 20-something.
yeah, we hired some old Filipino family from PI. Yeah, that at the end, he was a dishwasher and cleanup person. So yeah, it's nice. Everybody has a story. Because we had the family living upstairs, some romances started up there. And we talk about it later on. We find out that.
And back in the plantation days too, it was so nice. Well, first of all, before I forget, my father used to, we had the best mango trees on Molokai, really good little mangoes. And my father, he picked, buckets and buckets, and he'd sit there just peeling the mangoes and, okay, Philip, take this to the table over there and just give it away mangoes.
Yes.
People were so happy,
Nice.
and the mango was so good.
Nice.
And then, oh yeah, remember when we used to go to the airport, when you go home, you just take one cardboard box and some rope, and you go pick pineapple, put
Off the road,
off the road,
you
side.
stop, go grab
Everybody always went with pineapple, right?
one. Right.
And now I'm okay.
Oh, now the more.
Now you gotta take condiments and bread. But yeah, that was a good thing.
And remember when they used to take off the plane, and I see people do this still, but
Yeah, wait on the corner.
wait at the bottom, and then you wave at them as they take off. And that was an old tradition,
Oh, yeah.
way back
It
when.
was way back when you even left the island.
On
They
time.
come, no.
I shouldn't have said that.
And they come with lace, the family come out with lace, when you go up to the mainland, it's a big deal. The whole family comes out, give you money and give you lace and sit and wait
Okay.
till you take off. I don't know how you know which side of the plane they're on. Waving at them. It was 1958, went up to the mainland. And the big four-prop airplane broke down, and they took us in the limousine to the nice place where all the pilots stayed. Nice limits, put us up, fed us,
Awesome.
and woke us up early in the morning, fed us, took us back on the limousine, and that was travel. In 1958, when we went.
You were 3 years old. How many airlines was at the airport at one time? What was the most? Because I think there were like 5.
Island, Aloha, and Hawaii.
No, had Royal Hawaiian, had Air Molokai, had Grand
Grand
Airline.
Island Inn?
Aloha, Island Air was Grand.
And the cheapest flight was one time $9.
Yes.
Air Molokai.
$9.
It
One
was
way,
$9 round
$9.
trip.
Oh, round
I used to
round
work,
trip.
used to work in Molokai.
I was their first employee.
And Philip helps me out. He tells me, "Oh, I get on Airlines, the one with the
What had us
Your
on
surfboard on.
Casablanca?
The tail dragger.
Yeah, the DC-3.
What was it? What airlines was it?
It
The
was
DC-3
Air Molokai.
was Air Molokai.
So we go inside. First thing, you gotta
Hike up.
hike up,
Yeah,
and then they took out the back seats and they tied the surfboard onto the
yeah.
Yes.
go back there, and then he took out the duct tape and lift them up and show us the rope. This is in case we water landing. Please, balloon.
We had a Japanese girl as a stewardess. Do you
Oh, yeah.
know that?
Right now, only
Laura.
was flight attendant at one time.
There was an oil leaker too. Yeah, oil.
You know what my husband said? Those DC-3s were the most reliable.
Yeah, reliable.
planes.
They wouldn't take off at one
We
pop.
never, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it was $10.80 round trip.
Wow.
And Timmy Cook was Hanky's first pilot.
Oh, yeah.
Was Timmy
Rosalind,
Cook.
Rosalind,
Mr. Young was a school
Rosalind Cook's
teacher.
dad,
Oh, Rosalind Cook's dad?
yeah, was a pilot.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
Timmy.
remember,
Timmy was his first
I remember
pilot.
flying with
This
Hank Young
pilot.
to a hula ball. There was like Mr. Petcher, Mr. Ryan, me and my dad, these huge guys in this little plane. Back then it was a kind of plane you had to crawl in by the pilot's door and walk in the back.
On the wing.
It was the big ones they have now. And we flew to the hula ball. I got all these huge, you know, Mr. Ryan and Mr. Petchar. You don't know Mr. Petchar. And my dad and me in this plane, but and I think Hank drove. Hank was
Yes,
the pilot.
he
He was a very shrewd entrepreneur.
Really?
Yeah, very.
He was a counselor at the high school, and then he started
Yes,
Air
he was our
Molokai.
counselor.
Really, what else did he? And he bought cars. He
Yeah.
could fly to
Pick
Oahu
your
and
car.
back for like $25 and have a Datsun.
Yeah.
Datsun to drive on
Back in
Oahu.
the day.
Yeah,
But,
and he had the most beautiful wife in the world too. She was.
Wasn't she?
Yeah,
They're
I said,
lovely.
what the hell was she doing here?
So
no, but you know what? She had, if your cat died, she cried with you. That's how
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everybody's wife was. And actually, she was Caucasian Hawaiian.
Oh, she,
And she was
Chinese?
Caucasian Hawaiian Chinese too.
Oh, she's
She was
from
a mountain.
I thought she was just okay all the way.
Yeah,
too
she
bad
was
Air
Hawaiian.
Molokai went kaput.
But
We need another airplane.
I was just talking to Rick, and Rick Baptiste. He was the air traffic
Yeah,
controller
yeah,
at that
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "You remember when had so many flights to Molokai?" I said, "Yes. My daughter was hired to count the landings. Do you know Molokai had more landings than Maui and other islands?"
We're the busiest airport I think in the state, just
We
because
were
of
the
touch and go.
busiest airport.
Because
in
we
the state.
in between Maui and Oahu, and people they stop here
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
And then when I
But
so-
even the jets, I mean, bigger, Hawaiian and Aloha used
Yeah.
to stop here. on
Yeah.
the-
737s,
Yes.
DC-9s, I think.
DC-9, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But then
we
they
had
couldn't
more
land at
landings
one
on
point.
Molokai.
What was the largest seat?
One time I remember Air Molokai, just one weekend, Memorial Day weekend, we flew 600 passengers. But you know why? Because Mr. Young wanted to make sure that when you want to take your family to Oahu or whatever, you could afford to take your family, mother, father, and your 3 children. So he kept it very low. But you know what? Everybody flew Air Molokai because they could take their family. And that was the one
What was
thing.
the other airlines that you guys went into competition with that prices went lower and they finally got closed? Reeves Air, very good.
But Reeves eventually
Sam
became
used to-
Air
The
Hawaii.
front door.
Air Hawaii
The pilot-
bought
Why didn't
Air
I know?
Molokai.
Maybe I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
The
the,
Royal
the
Hawaiian.
thing is that he wanted to do it for the families of Molokai, so they could fly cheaper and let the whole family to Oahu.
Well, fuel was cheap back then, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was
But
way cheaper.
Everything was. Yeah.
Everything was way
even-
cheaper.
Cheaper, yeah, but he made it a point to make it
Service
to
the
service
people.
the people. That was his one thing that he said,
Well,
we can
well-
keep it low.
Molokai used to be known as the overflow island tourist-wise. So when the other islands were full, people would go, "Oh, what's that island across the way?" Now we become the overflow island to answer some of the questions. Overflow island because our real estate is cheaper. They can buy real estate here and they see the potential of making money Not saying that they don't want to live here and they're not good people, because I correct a lot of young people nowadays. That person that you say is rich made their own money. They came and they worked hard for the money. They didn't have it passed. I mean, few people have it, for the most part. So we're now into the last island left, so our attention is turned here. Many subdivisions on Oahu and Maui and place are packed full. They have to make more subdivisions, uncontrolled growth. So that's what makes Molokai special, because it was kind of a forgotten island. People didn't have any real interest coming here, just working people. That's why we had a great economy. We had a lot of work. And yes, people did talk about the plantations.
And the other people from Maui and stuff, just last 15 years ago or so, a gal came from Maui to work here, and they said, "Oh, you'll get the disease if you go to Molokai.
Oh,
It's
that
not safe to
person,
go. Not safe to go."
yeah.
Yeah, local people on Maui are telling the person,
What's I tell you, okay, if you want to learn from somebody and how I feel and thinking as a local, it's not like where you from, how you live, but how you live here, how you act here, how you put your values, not only from your lips, make Molokai change you. Live better. We're definitely on the more ancient side of technology on this island, so we still MacGyver a lot of stuff. So we learn to survive. Might I say, a lot of people in Honolulu would die if there was a disaster. You know, Natsu didn't come to Hawaii, a lot of people would die. But so we're entering into a new phase of Molokai, and which is good. Because when I realized what Julie was doing over here, I went like, yeah, finally, because there was many pushes to film, and these guys did a lot of the filming of this, but I don't even know where to look it up. You know, and great, we have the Myers Museum, but it's museum for Myers. You know, it's not for the whole island. And this is centralized, which is good, and people can learn about us. I welcome it. How people welcome my mom, how people welcome my father back in the 20s. You know, they moved from Oahu because they didn't have any work. He was depressed, and you know, he was in construction, and it's just people learning, doing this kind of stuff, and learning on a personal basis, not. The writing, you know, come on, nowadays writing, anything on the news, stuff that you gotta take it with a boatload of salt. You know? And when you have a one-on-one relationship or you're talking, you can tell when somebody's BSing you or, you know, don't wanna be with you. And just being proactive and living on this island and going out and stopping your car if somebody's stuck. When I get stuck on the other side of the road with a dead bus, I gotta tell people, keep going. And you know, I tell them stuff like, you know what a horn is for? What? So say hello to somebody. Blow the horn and say hello. Or the old stop on a state highway and stop traffic. There's a big stuff on the side, drive around with this. It is right. Let Molokai change you, but it's a proactive thing. You can't just sit there and enjoy your cell, your cubicle. You know.
Can I change the subject just for a second? We were talking about transportation off and on the island, and I was told that it's a possibility that the ferry's gonna get going again. There's some
That-
sort of
I actually know a little bit about that. Yeah, they were going to do a needs assessment. You talked about the ferry to Lahaina.
yeah.
That was before the fire.
I would suggest
Yeah.
with a state's government's economy, you don't going to see that for decades.
Yeah.
Because what's his name, put the guy that is transferred, secretary from DC just
What did they?
toured, yeah.
yeah.
He just toured.
Woodjay.
Yeah, and he's for the rail and stuff like that, but there's so much money being invested, so much with Lahaina burning down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
All this proactive stuff is going to slow down. Now, if we have a change of administration, it will stop.
Well, what I remember about Molokai is the dirt roads. Remember where the road ended going by Jesse's shack, right? That's what I remember. Where? Jesse by
It wasn't
what's
by
that area? Before,
Murphy's Beach.
before that, well before that, about a half
Yeah,
hour
well,
before that.
way before Murphy's.
Right by the guy Noodles. There.
Yeah, what's the name?
It says
yeah.
Jesse's shack. I
What
don't
is
know.
the name
And
of
it had the had the sign.
It's like Fuhoku Ranch.
Fuhoku Ranch.
Right.
And then there was dirt road all the way to Halama Valley, and there was a major ordeal going down there. And then when you go to Kalapapa Lookout, the road ended right by the last house, and then there was this rooted road that went into a couple valleys. You can still see the road when you're driving back.
Yeah.
And then going through the paper bark tree, the forest. There was all roots all over the place and potholes, and it was a major ordeal. You have to go to Kalapapa Lookout.
Well, we never did go up there.
Yeah. Too
From
far
the
up
east
and
end. Well, from the east end, there's
You
no
know.
reason to go. What you can look at.
because my mom, we used to always have visitors. My mom is.
Yeah.
So we used to always take people. I remember losing our muffler going down that road once. What else about the old days? What was like? Said that the road we used to at night we used to go drive through the pineapple fields, go all through the pineapple fields for fun, stuff like that. It was good, clean fun, you know.
Take,
This was
take drunk
competition.
friends out of the cornfields.
Competition, but there was Harbor Light at the end of the
I
wall.
remember that. I wasn't around that.
Yeah, there was a restaurant.
I
This-
heard
this-
stories about how about
This is competition on Molokai, restaurant competition. Sally, what? I know more French fries. I can borrow 3 cases to Monday.
Yeah.
The
Oh, the
drive-in.
drive-in.
Take them over there. John, next 3 weeks later, I know more French fries, or I know something, you know, and we gave them the case back, thank you.
And
And there was a Chinese that ran that.
Yeah, that was kind of Silver Adams' dad.
Yeah.
Yes, so Harbor Lights was at the end of the wall.
Harbor Light.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the wall.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you never heard of Harbor Lights?
Right
Yeah,
at the
Sylvia's
end of the
dad.
wall. Yes.
I
remember the name. I remember the name, but I never knew.
Chinese.
I wish we still had one on it. Wouldn't that be cool? Go eat dinner at the end of the wall.
Yeah, okay.
We had a family emergency this morning, and I have my wife at the hospital.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you thank us?
Oh, so we pow.
So I gotta go. So when we see each other on the street, I won't remember you because I was a hippie. And so stop and introduce yourself. And if I look like I'm treating you as a stranger because I don't remember you, and yeah, just that's Molokai is talking. That's the biggest thing we do on Molokai is talking story. So if you don't talk story, good luck. You won't be getting invited to luau's. So I gotta go.
So, wait, John, wait, real quick. Why did you, that's for Aline, that's for Aline. Esther, come, just come. Okay, so this is Esther Keohulua.
She was in my gang too.
Wait, John was our Luna at, during the day, which you call. So I just wanted to acknowledge Esther because her mom was our custodian at Molokai High, and my kids
Auntie Esther.
and Auntie Esther. And I don't know how many generations, but just wanted to acknowledge you. One of the pure Hawaiians on the island. Not too many of these guys around, let me tell you. Just wanted to say aloha to everybody. This was such a nice get together, and so nice that we can come and sit down and talk story. And John and Philip, what a nice way to spend Saturday.
Yeah.
There's a lot that I was thinking about saying, but when you get older, you forget.
No, we need, no, but you know what? Need part two because we Hanaho. We need to do this again.
And we should have more people like Andy over here, like
Yeah.
Pat, Kyle, and other people that old timers
Yeah.
be for eternity to be videotaped. Esther. One thing I loved, I used to work with Esther's dad, Johnny Pineapple. I knew the name, but I never, and then I got to work for Johnny Pineapple and Mr. Horner and all these people, these homesteaders, and miss those days.